Well, hey everybody. It's Chuck Banks, host of Dog Pound Radio, or one of the co-hosts. Anyway, tonight I wanted to just kind of break a little bit and do a short. I think of ways for my own personality to be able to handle, kind of the day-to-day basis. And when you become overwhelmed, or anything kind of shocks you a little bit. And for whatever reason, I like to write and I like to talk. But you know what? It's time to stop talking the talk, and it's time to start walking the walk. Today's short is going to be basically the beginning of I'm going to guess, a several part short event about mediocrity. Now, when you think of mediocrity, what do you think of? The by definition, okay, it's to be mediocre, or not to quite get over the hump, that sort of thing. Well, for whatever reason, for a long time, over the course of my many years in, whether it's coaching, it's teaching, whether was in the business world, or whether it was a father, whatever. For the longest time, I always went through that, on a weekly basis. You know what? That was good enough. And I thought about this over the course of the last few weeks. And there's so many times that that we're pushed to the edge, where we have these purposes or passions that hit into our brains, and we don't hit up on that purpose, or we don't hit up on that passion. And I think that's important. That's important to look at. The best thing that I read today on mediocrity came to this. And when I look back at my 12 months of changing and becoming a different person, this really kind of hit home. It says, when petty criticisms dictate how you live your life, you become slave to them. How many times in your life have you had a purpose, a passion, and someone kind of laughed at you, or they said, man, that's not going to work, or that sort of stuff. And then at the end of the day, you look at it and you're like, man, I didn't even try. Well, it's something to pose to yourself. Are you okay with being mediocre, or being mediocre? I'm going to guess that you're going to say no. You're not okay with being mediocre. Okay. We were brought into this life with a purpose. Okay. And my purpose in life, I wrote it down even, okay, because it's important that you write things down and you follow through. My purpose in life is to make the world a better place. Can I do that in a mediocre? I can't even pronunciate it. Do I say this? Uh, am I okay being mediocre at making the world a better place? No. And what better vantage point? Yeah, I had a goal a few years back. I had a goal that I was going to create a podcast, and you know what? If I was able to change one or two lives based on a positive, and basically, through my experiences and things, through my dips and ups and downs, when you want to talk about anxiety or anything like that, if I can make a difference at least with one person with that podcast, I'd be okay. Well, is that good enough? Are I mean, is being mediocre good enough? Okay, when I look at how what type of a father I was, I don't think I was a mediocre father. I've never been a mediocre coach. I've always pushed myself. I've always tried to push also, my athletes and my students beyond their comfort level, to practice that thing, to get rid of that. So my goal, when we talk about mediocrity, is we got to quit looking back. Don't look back into the past. When every time when you get to almost to the pinnacle of the mountain, you get knocked back down. You got to get your ass back up. All right. You got to get up, and you got to keep fighting to get up on top of that mountain and see what's over at the top. Okay. And too many times I look back at, whether it's past experiences, how I was treated. Oh, woe is me. I've got to get rid of that mindset, as do we all, unless we want to just be okay with things. Okay. That's good enough. That's mediocrity. I had someone say, "Hey, man, you can't forget where you come from." I kind of call BS on that. Okay, and here's why. At the end of the day, I'm a different person than I was 2 minutes ago, 1 year ago, 20 years ago. I'm a totally different person. So my vantage point to get past mediocrity is to look ahead. Forget where you come from and focus on where you are now. That's important. Okay. It's just one of those things. When you get to where you want to go, make another list to destroy. And I think that's important too. I have reached a pinnacle on a lot of things in my life, but I've never looked past it. I've always been good enough. Doesn't that sound bad? Do you want to be mediocre or do you want to be better? Is everything just good enough for you? Are you just existing? Okay. How many times have you told yourself, like at the beginning of a Monday, and it's a Monday evening here? How many times have you told yourself, man, I just wish I could get to the Friday and enjoy the weekend instead of saying, you know what? It's not getting to, it's the opportunity to have each moment of every day, whether that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Why do we constantly wish our lives away? That's being mediocre, man. You got to get past that. So are you just existing or are you embracing this sucker? You know, are you where you want to be? That's important. Do you continue to fall down the mountain when you're halfway up it? Well, if you get knocked down, you're going to have to be willing to get back up. That's where it's going to be super important. What are you going to do with your life? Okay. And this is something, that I've pondered for a long, long time. I'm where I want to be right now in this moment because God put me in this moment. Man, and here's a question that really sticks with me because none of us want to be mediocre, but none of us want to discuss some of these questions, right? Why is it that there's such a high percentage of the population are just okay with existing and not excelling? So ponder that question: existing and not excelling in life. We have to do that. So the final question here is, what do we have to change in our daily routine and our daily lives in order to excel and not merely exist? It's crazy, isn't it? When you look at that. Well, here's a couple of things that I wrote down. And here's the most important thing that I want you to get out of day one of mediocrity to get past that. And here it is. Don't let others' opinions dictate your success. I did that far too doggone long in my life, and I'm done. I have to get past that existing, and I have to push towards excelling. And I think that's important. Number one, we got to find our passions, find your why, and change your life. That's that's extremely important. Forgive yourself and move forward, doggone it. It's what we live in the past far too much. And we become slaves of our brains and many others, right? Forgive yourself and move forward. Forgive others. Okay. There's going to be a lot of people in your life, okay, that you constantly look back and you're like, man, I feel bad. I feel distraught. Okay. I'm worrying about the past instead of focusing on me and the now. Doggone it. Forgive others, forgive yourselves, and move forward. And understand this: there's going to be a lot of people in your life, okay? They're going to say, man, you've changed. Well, of course we've changed. Okay. We're done living in the past. We're looking to take this sucker by storm. Okay. So you are not the same person you were in the past. If you want to get past mediocrity, that is, unless you're just okay with it. Others are going to leave you. Okay. I've had a lot of friends in the past for whatever reason, just because, you switch schools, you switch dynamics, you switch your mode of thought, and they leave you. That's okay, because your true friends will never leave you. They will stand up, rise up, and do that. And, perhaps this is an important thing to deal with as well. Don't ever aspire to be the smartest person in the room or suggest that you are that person. Because if you put yourself in that situation, the birds of a feather flock together mentality, you're in trouble right away. So, so why do people settle for mediocrity? That will be my next podcast. But I'm going to leave you with this tonight. Accepting mediocrity comes from the fear of failing, as well as not being willing to deal with others tearing you down. But you can choose to do what you love and fight to be the greatest at it, regardless of what anyone else says. Well, I'm Chuck Banks. I'm, one of the co-founders of Dog Pound Radio, Coaching Culture and Athletics. And also, I have a book. It's called Life of an Overthinker. If you want to get past your overthinking, I'm selling these books, as a matter of fact, for $20 a piece, and $10 for every purchase is going to go to the Fort Madison Bloodhounds. It's going to go into that Booster Club organization. You know what? We need the money for that, for kids to push that thing. So I'm throwing that out there tonight. And also, I'm encouraging you to not be mediocre. Fight, man. Don't exist. Excel.